Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us once again. So excited to have you. Today, we're actually have a fun conversation about Love Inc. and its partnership with our churches, with our church, local church community. And today we have a guest with us that I'm really excited to introduce to you guys. But first, I want to ask that you guys would subscribe to this show. Also, hit the like button and share it with your friends or family members. Another thing you could do, because of the value we want to provide for you guys, specifically in the area of poverty, is maybe if you have a question about poverty, maybe you have a question about individuals that are trapped in poverty, just ask us the questions and we will look into making some future videos for you guys and help provide a place for you guys to learn. And so that is the whole goal behind this, is for us to have a conversation and learn about issues of poverty in our community and how we can be part of that solution. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you my good friend Luellen. She has been a part of Loving for quite some time, and I'll let her introduce herself and we'll share some more stuff about who Luellen is. Thank you so much, Luellen, for being
You're
here.
welcome.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
Uh,
for asking me to be a part of this. It's exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll have some fun today. So just first and foremost, what is your involvement here at Love Inc? What is it? What is it that Llewellyn does here at Love Inc. of Clackamas County?
Well, at the current time, I am volunteering. Well, I'm on the board. I'm the secretary, and I am also volunteering one morning a week. So when I'm here volunteering, I'm either answering phones or and acting as receptionist, or I'm actually talking to people and talking to callers that have called in, and depending on their situation, they may be calling in to donate something, or they may be calling in because of a need. And so I will vet that, and then I may do what we call a intake, and that's quite a involved. We ask the folks, do you have a half an hour you can spend with us, and go through this intake process of getting their demographics and where they are currently in their home situation, or in their poverty, possibly. So it's I love talking to the people because they're usually so open and they want you to know who they are. It's fun to talk to them. It is also heartbreaking sometimes too.
Yeah,
So,
I bet a lot of the phone calls are them expressing the challenging situations that they're in.
absolutely. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it's about. And how and their children and what their children are how their children are affected by what's going on in their household. And so, yeah, it is heartbreaking, but it gives me compassion, to want to help them through that any way that we can. So, and to
Yeah.
share Jesus with them. It's really funny. One of the things that I've been surprised at is how many share Jesus right back. And
Really?
yeah, and
Can you give me like an example or?
well, I had a call just this week that this gal just said she's spiritual, and her daughter is spiritual, and um, she said we pray to Jesus, and this is not new to them necessarily, but it's just an awakening for them, and the daughter and the mom, and there are two little kids in the household. So, and the older girl, and I think there's an older boy too. But so that's a lot of people. And so anyway, she was sharing with me about her experiences with Jesus, and it was good. Yeah, it was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and it's such an encouragement, too, that you feel that the freedom to both be yourself
Hmm.
and you also feel the freedom to express your faith. Did you always feel comfortable sharing your faith?
No, no, and I worked in government,
Okay.
and so you know, I had things around my desk that said Christian, Christian, but I didn't, you just don't talk about it. And I was happy, I wanted people to know. So if they had the same faith, that they could open up to me. So, but you had to be so careful.
Would you describe yourself as an evangelist?
Oh boy. I hope so, but I don't know.
Okay.
I hope, it's something that I've thought about is I've thought, I hope people see my peace and my joy
Mhm.
and can see Jesus through me and in that way be evangelical.
I know for myself, I recognized a pattern of growth where I was timid or afraid to share my faith.
Mhm.
And I wonder if it, by your experience and your time here at Love Inc. as well, and your being on the phones and sharing like Jesus with them and praying for them, if that took some time to get used to, and maybe in the sense of like, developing that muscle, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. The more you do it, the more second nature it becomes. And so I think there's truth there, and I want to be Jesus's feet on the ground here. A friend of mine was working with Love Inc., and this is 23, so it was probably 2010, something like that, 2009, and that was my beginning. And it was a place. It was so comfortable because, oh, I can pray with people. I don't have to be intimidated or anything. When you call here, we're a Christian organization, and so that that may be part of your conversation. And so that was so freeing for to me to be a part of the organization,
Yeah.
and I've been part of it for a long time because of it.
You've always had such good leadership and direction, especially as a board member, but also as an individual, I guess, looking back for projected future.
Mm.
So I've always appreciated that about you.
Oh,
It's been a lot of
thanks.
fun. So,
Yeah,
well,
good.
you mentioned your pastor, you mentioned your church. What church do you attend?
Saving Grace Church in
In
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Yes.
Yeah, and
Pastor Brian.
Pastor
Yeah.
Brian Winchester, and he has brought life also, and but such solid foundational teaching. I'm really this is a dumb word, but I feel lucky to be there,
Mm.
and it has nothing to do with luck, but you know, I can
Yeah.
relate to that, I
Yeah.
guess.
No, that's great.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
so.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. And under the last pastor, I felt that way too. I felt like he was solid in his biblical teaching,
Yeah.
and I feel the same way about Brian. So yeah, so I've been with Saving Grace. Uh, gosh, I've been there since 2020.
Mhm.
No, I'm sorry, 2000.
Okay. Okay.
2000.
Yeah. So a little bit of
So
time. So
yeah,
you have a great working knowledge of Love Inc. You have a great working knowledge of churches.
thank you.
And so my question, I guess, which would bring up our topic is, what do you see personally on both sides of your experience, both with being a part of a church, of a good church, but then also working with Love Inc. at many different levels, with being a board member, but also doing the intake. So you're really, well, the things that we kind of share about like the intake is that you're really in the
Yeah.
gravel of their life and their situation. We're asking them questions that are very exposing a lot of the stuff in their life that a lot of people, quite frankly, try and keep hidden
Hmm.
for many different reasons. But you're on those phone calls with people that are in some desperate positions, and then again being on the board, but then also being a part of a healthy church. I guess my thought or my question is, as far as the topic for today, is what do you see the benefit in the partnership between Love Inc. and a local church?
Well, my first thought on that question is we're all the church, okay? And in talking with people, many are not connected. And of course, the community of the church is so important for me, for them, for all of us. And so I tend to want to give them at least a name of a church that's in their area that I know that has sound doctrine, and to give them an idea of to go somewhere. And I've even given my church, given Saving Grace, and given them my name. Come in, ask for me, and so you're not coming in cold. And so far, nobody's taken me up on it, which is kind of disappointing. But because I've had some really enthusiastic responses to that. Oh, really? Oh, sure, I'll be there, and then they don't come. So, and I know it's a hard leap, and when their life is chaotic, which is often the case, um, it's hard to get everybody up and out and dressed and to church on a Sunday morning. So I understand it to a degree, but it's personally, I just go, oh, darn, they haven't come yet.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think just as an encouragement, even for yourself, is, the fact that they've been invited, I think, is a huge step for them.
I hope so.
I wonder, it makes you wonder sometimes being invited to a church from an individual who is healthy and actually loves them and doesn't have some alternative motive,
Right.
I think could be rare. And so the
Ooh.
fact that they've been invited in the first place, I think, is a great step in their journey back to Jesus. So
Oh, I
yeah,
never thought of it that way.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
good way to look at it.
That'd be good. So what other benefits does it, from the church perspective, do you think would have to partner with Love Inc?
Um, from the church's perspective, I think my thought has been bringing people in and for the church to be benevolent and to know, I think that as a church you can get insulated on everything's good, everybody's healthy, and not consider that outside those doors, that's our mission field, and there's a
Right.
lot to do. There's a lot of work to do.
Lots to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can't do it. I can't do it by myself, and nobody can, and so I think it gives the churches um, hmm, a pathway outside of the church and that we don't often explore.
Yeah, almost like an outlet into the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
And yeah, that's a
Tell me
good
more.
way
Tell me more about
good
what
way
your
to
thoughts are on that.
well, uh well, like I said, I made a sign years ago and put it over our threshold. It's no longer there, but it said, "Welcome to the mission field,"
Mhm.
going out the front door.
Yes. Yeah.
And or you're entering the mission field.
Yeah.
That's what
Right.
it said.
Right.
And um, and that's kind of how I see Love Inc. Love Inc.'s out there in the mission field, and for us to for us as Love Inc. to connect with our churches. I don't know if I can give an example. Can I give an
Yeah.
example of
Please.
a woman called in a couple weeks ago, and boy, her situation was dire. I mean, she was hungry, and she had five little kids with her, and they were hungry. And so we don't handle emergencies, which is kind of hard, as a person wanting to help. And so a church was contacted, and that church went out and got groceries that afternoon and took them to this woman's
Wow, it's incredible.
home. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
incredible. So we are that connection.
Mhm.
The person calls us. I don't know that people call a church. I mean, I think sometimes they do.
Mhm.
But I think if we get the phone calls, then we have resources, but we also have our church resources. But anyway, just that is the church feet on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we're called to do. We're called to love everybody.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes we get kind of blinded with the people in our church. We are to love our fellow believers. There's no doubt
Hmm.
that is Jesus's message.
Yeah.
But we're also to take our love out to the Samaritans or the
Yeah. Well,
you
that
know
is that was some of those last parting words from Jesus, right? Is go out and make
make
disciples of
disciples.
all nations, and we
Mhm.
are part of that ethnos, that all
We
nations,
are.
and it's our
That's a
responsibility
yeah.
as, I mean, as our commander in chief, Jesus Christ.
You're right.
He is the guy who's calling the shots,
Yeah.
and he's the one who's earned that through the cross,
Yeah.
and he's asked us to do this great job.
Yeah.
And so I think that where I have found that Love Inc. really does provide a mobilization for their church members as volunteers as well. In a sense that we are helping equip their church members, the people of the church, to share the gospel and to have, like they say, that professionalism comes through repetition. And if you're sharing the gospel with every phone call that you're receiving and giving, here at Love Inc., you're getting probably pretty comfortable with sharing the gospel.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a
Yeah.
uniqueness to that.
Yeah.
I think that there's a uniqueness, as I know, even as a pastor for almost 20 years, I don't know how many times I actually shared the gospel as much as we do here. And 'cause it's one of our kind of our staples that we have when we're on the phone. We ask to pray with people, and
Yeah, yeah,
we ask
we
them if
do.
they attend a church or
Hmm.
would they be interested. And the beautiful part is that we're not asking if they attend a church and then hold that against them if they don't.
Right. No.
We love them where they are and
Hmm.
we care for them where they are. And I think that's such a big important piece of how we communicate the gospel is that it starts with acceptance where they are and then helping them develop from there. So
We do accept them where they are.
yeah.
And I think that is a really important piece. So to kind of give them ideas or something, that may bring them around too.
Yeah. What word
Yes.
of encouragement would you have for a pastor, maybe an elder at the church or deacon or just even a church member? What would you have as a word of encouragement to whether it's Love Inc. or not? I mean, we want to
Right.
mobilize the church. Of course, we would love volunteers here, but what
Right.
encouragement would you have for them?
Well, there's nothing like it. And it is so rewarding. You would think you're feeding, but you're being fed. The support I have gotten from the church, people want to give me things, which that is so normal.
Mhm.
And because it's easy to give, it's even easy here to give the products out of our non-food pantry, the deodorant or whatever is needed. And it's so easy to do that. It's so easy to talk about that over outside of talking about Jesus.
Essentially, what you're saying is that it's filled you up,
Oh,
it,
it
and
has.
your involvement in the community, especially here through Love Inc.
Yeah.
and being a part of your church, you've seen kind of this holistic health, even for your own self,
Yes.
that you're helping individuals in the community, you're loving people in the name of Christ,
Hmm.
and you're doing it in a great way, and actually seeing fruit from your labors as well when you're able to meet needs of individuals by mobilizing the church. Like those aren't small things.
Well, yeah, you might be right. I would like to. I'm looking forward to when we are back in face-to-face contact with people. That was also rewarding, and so. But I know you. I don't know. I know that Love Inc. is an asset to our churches in this area. We have the people call us, and we can connect them to our churches who also want to be the feet of Jesus and hands and feet of Jesus, and not not give out the toilet paper, but to give out the doctrine and Jesus. And I think that our churches would agree with that and I would think would want to be a part of that if they knew that that's what was going on here.
Mm.
And so I think it is an asset. I do. But I also feel a bit opinionated about it,
Sure. Yeah.
So I, like this, I felt like with this woman that called in and had the hungry children, we came together as a community,
Mm.
and it wasn't Love Inc. versus the church. It was Love Inc. and the church, and it was beautiful,
Yeah.
and it was the way we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think that Love Inc. is an asset to the church because the church has got the same tenant that we have
Hmm.
as far as going out and making disciples of all people.
Yeah.
So,
That's good. Well,
yeah,
thank you so much for being here today
you're
and
welcome.
having this conversation with me, Llewellyn. It's always such a treasure and a treat to.
Thanks.
Whenever I see you on the phones downstairs, specifically, I always think of like she's being a great grandma to this young woman on the phone right now,
Oh,
and it's just always fun to,
let me think
um,
about that.
yeah. But it's just always that you extend that love and compassion,
Thank you.
but you also hold the line in the sense that you don't let them get away with anything in that space that they shouldn't be, right? And so I think that's an important piece. So yeah,
I agree, and thank you. That's very kind,
yeah,
very kind. And there is the possibility of being hoodwinked, and I think that we do this verifying, I think, is equally as important.
Mhm.
We need to know,
Yeah.
that everybody's telling us what's really going
Yeah,
on.
we find out what's going on. That's right.
Yeah,
Well, again, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate
you're
it.
welcome.
And if you have any other questions or thoughts or comments on how Love Inc. and the church come together and how we benefit one another in our partnership, obviously we have a lot of information for you on our website. You could also, again, drop some questions in the comment section and let us be able to answer, and maybe we'll make some other future videos based on your questions. But definitely, you want to hit subscribe, follow what we're doing here, and then hit the like button and share this with a friend or family member, individuals that may also take some benefit within this. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.